Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. Oddly late, but that's not that odd anymore. Quick little programming note off the top here before I say hello to Russ. The week of September 25th, there will not be a Two Marks and a Spark. I will be out of town and I will not be watching wrestling.
I'll have to watch it for you.
Yeah, Russ will provide me programming notes if anyone happens to, I don't know, shit their pants on television.
It has been known to happen.
Oh, well. Let's not forget the infamous CM Punk tweet. I just shit my britches on SmackDown. Please retweet.
Oh, yeah. He was proud of it.
Uh, Russ,
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Ben.
these shows, man.
Well, it was an interesting week. We had some good matches. We had a lot of filler.
I am permanently exhausted by Monday Night Raw.
It's always 3 hours. Whether it's good or bad, it's always too long.
This week wasn't bad
No.
by
But
any.
I'm like you. I can't sit still for 3 hours to watch it live. I have to, sometimes I'll watch the first couple of segments and then I'll stop just to get an idea what the main event might be.
I've started breaking it up over the course of the week. Like, I'll watch the first hour live, and I'll watch the second hour, you know,
Maybe a couple days later.
and then I'll watch the third hour, usually the day before we do this show.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
Russ,
this wasn't too bad a Raw.
this Raw show, let's be honest, it was the Jey Uso and the Gunther show. That's what that
Yeah.
this that's what this was. I mean,
Jey Uso's the big star, obviously.
and damn it, is he over?
Yeah, he really is. And I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with him yet, but it'll be interesting.
The problem I had with this Raw show is the problem I have with every Raw show, and it is pace. This
Yeah.
show went on forever.
Well, because then he had a long intro, and then Sammy had to come out and talk. And it seems like the pattern for Raw is you have at least 15 minutes of just nothing but talk.
And
And
that's
it's
fine when it's, interesting like this was. But do you remember back in 2015 when they would send Triple H and Stephanie out there every fucking week?
every week, yeah, they got really old. They cut the same long-winded, boring promos. The Authority, yeah, that was not a good era.
I actually thought the Authority as a faction had potential, but because here's the thing. Triple H is very good on the mic, and I know we're getting off track already. That shouldn't surprise anybody that's been watching this show for more than 2 weeks. But Triple H is very good on the mic.
I
But
think
here's
he's
the pro-
better now. I think it's when he was champion, his promos were too long.
but here's the problem. His wife can't talk worth a lick.
No,
In short spurts, she can, but I don't know if you remember this, but when she was in the Authority, she was doing all the talking, and it's just like, oh my God, give the microphone to Paul,
yeah.
please. Please shut
Wonder
up.
why they kept doing it. They getting go away heat from the audience, and they seem clueless about it.
I was just like, oh my God, just give the microphone to Hunter, please. At least I won't fall asleep. Uh, but these two, it seems like Jey Uso and Sami Zayn have mended fences
Yes,
almost too quickly. And
right.
in the real world, this would not happen. If you had done to Sami Zayn half of what Jey Uso has done to Sami Zayn, and vice versa, these two would never speak again. But guess what? In the world of pro wrestling, yeah, we're friends again.
All is forgiven immediately, no matter how dastardly the deeds were. Once you officially turn babyface, that's it. We love you. We forgive everything.
Well, not everybody forgave everything because as they were exiting after their hug and whatever, Drew McIntyre was not too happy to see Jey Uso. And I don't know if you heard him say it,
because
but
of history.
Drew stood there and he said, "We don't want you here."
Oh yeah,
I don't know if that was like a casual dig at the Hangman CM Punk thing.
yeah. I don't
Uh,
know who the we was he was referring to. Maybe
is he
him and Matt Riddle.
is he referring to the roster as a whole? Which wouldn't be
Yeah,
that surprising when you think about what the Bloodline did to, 90% of the roster.
sure.
But anyway, then we got the Viking Raiders versus Riddle and McIntyre in a tornado tag match.
Yeah, Texas Tornado Tag Match,
Uh,
which Texas Tornado. In other words, no rules.
I did not like this match.
Well, that's lazy booking.
I like three of the four guys in this match. I'm not crazy about Riddle, but at any rate, the Viking Raiders
But
won.
which is kind of rare. They haven't won anything in quite a while.
Yeah, that was the surprise, really.
That was the surprise that they won because uh, they have been in a rut for quite a long time.
I think this is all eventually going to lead to Drew McIntyre turning heel.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good plan.
If Drew McIntyre doesn't turn heel, they will be making a mistake. And he should absolutely turn heel on Matt Riddle.
Oh, that would be great. I like to call him, when Matt Riddle wears his braids, I like to call him Pippi Longstocking because that's who he looks like. But he
We
fights
get
better than her, I'm sure.
we get one of about 50 Intercontinental Championship video packages.
They had a lot.
Seth Rollins comes down to the ring, wants a rematch with Nakamura. Worth noting, Adam Pearce was not happy that Seth Rollins was even there.
Right. Nakamura
So,
said, no way. Not going to happen.
and then they go to commercial after these two brawl, and Adam Pearce and Seth Rollins are yelling at each other.
Yeah. Arguing backstage. Rollins says, I don't work for you, and he storms off.
Which isn't true. He does work
Right.
Adam Pearce. Anyway, we had Ricochet and Nakamura. This match was not anything of what it should have been. They didn't have enough time.
DQ ending.
They didn't have enough time. I'm not going to say too much here. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Ricochet won by DQ.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you now. Yeah, you went away for a second there.
Well, we had this stupid DQ ending, and then we get a Gunther promo
Right.
that I thought was very good
Very good.
because it's Gunther.
He's a real Austrian man. He's going to fulfill his duty and be victorious because that's what Austrians do, by God.
Then we had Raquel Rodriguez in the back again with Adam Pearce
Yes.
talking to Pearce, and she leaves, and then here comes Chelsea Green. And Adam Pearce, Chelsea, my favorite line of this was Chelsea's like, some people are so rude. And Adam was like, don't I know it?
Yeah.
Like,
He's pretty clueless.
Adam Pearce is so good in this role. If they had Adam Pearce doing this role for the next 30 years, I don't think anyone would complain.
He's better at it because he just plays it straight. He's not going for laughs or anything.
He's not a babyface. He's not a heel.
Right.
He's just the boss.
Yep.
And
anyway, winner by disqualification, Ricochet.
yep, I said that. But what we didn't talk about was the fact that we're getting Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. This was
this was a very good match. I think this was my favorite match of the show. These two just beat the snot out of each other. Shayna Baszler won, but she gave respect after the match to Zoe Stark as being a worthy opponent. I think these two would make a great team as well as making good opponents because they're similar in their background and their styles.
Well, they shouldn't
I'm
have beaten
a huge
Zoe.
fan of Shayna Baszler,
They should not have beat Zoe here, but
right.
other than that, not many complaints. Then we had
Winner by technical knockout.
then we had a backstage segment with the Judgment Day and their new like office thing because they have all those titles now. I guess in order to get like an office backstage, you have to win every belt on your brand plus one.
And then you get your own little office, huh?
Yes, and it looked very nice. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it was a little silly.
Right.
Finn wants JD McDonough in the Judgment Day. And
nobody else seems to like him.
No.
They don't trust him. Why should they?
By the way, it was set up earlier on in the night that it would be Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough later on. Anyway, we had Raquel Rodriguez and Chelsea Green, and Raquel tossed her around like a sandbag.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a killing.
And she sold it very well, too. She did a good job of selling. But it was very obvious that the whole thing was Raquel was totally dominant and easily won it by pinfall. In the meantime, on almost every commercial break, we're getting video packages of former Intercontinental champions, getting all of them, from Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Jake Roberts.
They did. The interesting thing is they were omitting certain Intercontinental champions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I saw JBL was an Intercontinental champion. I don't think I saw him in any of the video packages. Did you?
No.
Did I just miss him?
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing Pat Patterson either, but I could have just.
I saw Pat Patterson.
That he was the first one.
Yeah, he was in the
mythological tournament in Buenos Aires that never actually happened. But they just created the Intercontinental title, gave it to Pat Patterson, and created the story of this fictitious tournament that took place in Rio de Janeiro, where he supposedly faced all the greatest wrestlers in the world and won that title.
Which did not happen.
No, it didn't happen. They just gave it to him, but it gave it they wanted to give it some credibility of this new title so that people would think we just made this up off the top of our head, which they did.
By the way, you could not pull something like that off now.
No, it wouldn't work.
With social media and streaming and all this stuff, you could not just make shit up like that and have it fly.
Right.
Anyway, after all this,
then we get Miss TV's next, isn't it?
Yep.
With special guest John Cena,
who wasn't actually there.
Right.
Miz did a hilarious skull-crushing finale to the Invisible John Cena.
I think yes. Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the the controversial indie show where they had the guy wrestling the Invisible Man.
I think this was supposed to be a shot at that, but
yeah, I think it was too, but it was funnier.
And the Miz's face is still incredibly funny.
There we go. Skull crushing finale on the Invisible John Cena.
Well, before that, and I forgot to mention this for some reason, Drew McIntyre was furious backstage.
Oh, yes, with Kofi. Forgot about that.
He's mad at Kofi. He's mad at Riddle. He's mad at Cody. Who?
Drew, you need to turn heel and start kicking all their asses.
Just kill them all.
As soon as possible.
Well, anyway, then Jey Uso's backstage after the Miz TV thing.
Right.
And as a result of Jay's trade to Raw, SmackDown would also be receiving someone, and it seems like that is going to be Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what fucking smooth brain fuck thinks Ciampa for Jey Uso is like a fair deal.
I like Tommaso Ciampa.
But if you're looking in terms of stature on the card, Ciampa for Uso is a joke.
Sure.
Is that
Maybe,
like the
maybe they should have got two wrestlers for Jey Uso.
they should have gotten Cody?
Oh,
Shit.
yeah. But boy, Rod never want to give him up.
But you're getting Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Cody was a non-starter in trade negotiations. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe
I
Cody
got
was
another question. The guy that you see on screen a couple of times who does nothing but make faces, Akira
Tozawa.
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 Tozawa. Yeah, what's the deal with him? Is he an NXT guy?
No, he's been around forever, and he's actually a very good wrestler. But they just use him like a jobber.
They use him like he's some kind of a comedy relief guy. Like we shouldn't take him seriously at all.
But he's very talented in the ring.
Well, yeah, I know sometimes when they do that to guys, it doesn't mean they're not a good wrestler.
Tozawa is one of those cases where it's like this guy's really fucking good.
Underused, yeah.
He's kind of in that Gable role when Gable was purely comedic relief, but like you knew,
Right.
man, this guy can go.
Yes. Yes,
McDonough
indeed.
versus Zayn was way too short,
Yes, it was.
but JD won.
Yes, he did. I was surprised by that. Didn't expect that. Zayn was mad. He was furious. It was a
And Nanny went after Dirty Dom.
yes.
By the way,
Yeah.
I will never get sick of heel Dominic Mysterio. Heel Dominic Mysterio is just the greatest.
I think he's coming along really well as a heel. People are hating him good. He's getting a lot of good heat. Being with the Judgment Day has really helped him a lot, and his wrestling's better too. I think.
Remember when he was just kind of a bland babyface and everybody was like, well,
Yeah,
he's talented, but like, what are we doing?
he's not he's not real great on the mic yet, but I think he'll get more comfortable.
Well, doesn't hurt that he's got Finn and Rhea right there.
Right. He doesn't need to talk at all, actually, with them.
With Finn, Rhea, and Priest, who isn't too bad on the mic himself.
Right.
Dude, Dominic doesn't have to say a fucking word.
No, he sure doesn't.
Because Finn is great. Rhea's probably the best talker in the group. And Damian is really good.
Yes, he is. But okay, more past Intercontinental champions. Connor's cure.
We get an announcement that Tiffany Stratton will be defending the NXT title against Kiana James the next night on NXT. It has been announced since then that it will be Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch on NXT.
Right.
I don't remember.
I heard she was going to NXT, do a few shows. Next week on Raw, they announced next week Rhea will defend the title against Raquel Rodriguez again, with Dirty Dom in her corner.
Update on that Tiffany Stratton Becky Lynch match. They have set it up for tomorrow, as in this week.
Tonight, you mean?
No, NXT.
Oh, NXT. Yes, yes.
I would presume Becky is going to win that match.
Well, I don't normally watch that. I will program, if I remember, I'll program my DVR. I almost said VHS. My DVR to record NXT because I usually don't watch it, but I'd like to see Becky.
Worth noting, it is on Peacock the next day.
Oh, okay. Right. Thank you for reminding me of that.
I forget sometimes too.
Right.
I've poked in on NXT a couple of times over the last few weeks.
Yes.
I got to tell you, that show's getting better.
Yeah, I've heard it's been getting better.
It's not what it was by any stretch of the imagination,
Right.
but like Booker T and Vic Joseph are really good on commentary.
Yeah.
But I've always liked Booker. I mean, who doesn't like Booker T?
You're right.
I mean, but you know,
We got the Shucky Duck.
well, we had Mysterio and Uso backstage, Dominic, that is. And Dominic tried to recruit Jey Uso into the Judgment Day.
I don't think that's going to go very far.
I don't think that's gonna. I think that's gonna go over like a whore in church.
Right.
That ain't gonna work.
That's it.
Anyway, then we get the main event, which I saw people on Twitter bitching that this was the main event before it started.
No, I think it was great. I mean, like I said, I probably like the Shayna Baszler match the best, but I like this one the best too. You know what I mean? This was pretty good.
And
How long how long was this Gunther versus Gable?
I don't have the time in front of me. Let me
It
see
was
if
about right though. But it ended with the celebration when Gunther won by pinfall, and now a 35-year record has been broken.
I'm trying to find the length. Um,
Gable's family was at ringside.
I want to point out this match probably should have been on Payback.
Oh yeah,
This should have been on the pay-per-view.
right.
Maybe not in the main event spot, but like co-main eventing the pay-per-view. Anyway, I thought Raw was pretty solid. No Cody was weird.
Yes, very unusual to not see Cody.
But other than that, I thought it was a good Raw. I think tonight's Raw will probably be a better show. Um, I believe Cody is back tonight.
Yeah.
Also, we can't talk about WWE without talking about um the elephant in the room, really, which is this is the last night of the McMahon era.
Correct. That sale will be final.
The sale will go final tonight after the show. It seems like they very much intentionally timed this to the point where they will be able to finalize the deal immediately after Raw goes off the air. Which makes me think they're going to do an angle.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think they should, but it's WWE generally when they want to make something work. Guess what?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Russ, tell me if I'm wrong, but over the years, historically, when WWE wants an angle to work and they really want it to work, they'll make it work.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get it over. They'll do whatever they have to do to make it work.
Even if they got to revise it constantly.
I look at Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. How many times from SummerSlam to WrestleMania did they have to change that whole fucking angle?
Mm-hmm.
Because the fans just shit on it. Because they wouldn't give Bryan the belt.
That was an interesting time.
I do not think they're going to do an angle around this Endeavor thing. But man, is there some money to be made with that.
Oh yeah.
And let's talk about, since we're still on WWE and we're kind of transitioning to the AEW part of the show, the Dynamite part of the show here, but CM Punk. Traction has been growing that he will probably end up in WWE. I don't
think it will happen.
I do.
You do you? I just
Because here's why. Here's why. If they weren't selling the company, like literally tomorrow,
Mhm.
as me and you sit here, it wouldn't happen. But Endeavor will own the company
Right.
by this time tomorrow. So it will not be a Vince McMahon call. It
Correct.
will not be a Triple H call.
Dana White has had very limited experience with Buck.
It will be an Area Manual call.
Yeah.
Now, if they're going to do an angle with this Endeavor thing, the smart thing to do would be to send Dana White out there and have him just be the biggest douchebag he knows how to be, which literally just have Dana be himself and
Yeah.
he'll get heat.
Yeah.
He'll get booed out of the building. Certainly.
Yeah. Just be yourself, buddy.
Just go out
Everybody
there and
hates
be
you just
Dana
the way
White
you
because
are.
this place is going to fucking hate you.
Yeah.
They're going to boo Dana the second he walks out there, but like,
Oh, absolutely.
because Dana White's a scumbag and we both know he is. And everybody knows Dana White's a scumbag.
I hear you.
I refer you to the TMZ video of him slapping his wife.
Right.
Moron. Anyway, AEW Dynamite from Indianapolis, Indiana. This was a hot crowd.
Yeah. Thank you, Orange. We start off the show. Thank you, Orange. You'll be here every week. You're not going anywhere.
And thank goodness, because really he's kind of carrying this show at this point.
Right. But then the new champion comes out, John Moxley, to wrestle AR Fox. Now, here's the thing. Tell me something. You know more about AR Fox than I do. Seems like he's a heel one week, and then he's a baby face, and then the next week he's heel again, and then the next week he's baby face. And then he apologizes for turning baby face, and he's going to be heel now. And then a week later, he's like, I'm really sorry I turned heel. I want to be a baby face now. It's confusing, isn't it?
He also can't win a match to save his life.
He's not a bad
Anyway,
wrestler, though.
he got absolutely smashed by John Moxley.
Yes, he did.
He got Moxleyed.
He definitely got defeated by Moxley. But it's interesting, Devlin was telling us last week that John Moxley was his favorite wrestler. I thought about that because I was listening to some commentary on YouTube from a podcaster this last week who went into great detail about why he considered John Moxley to be the worst wrestler in the world. And I thought, oh man, there's plenty of wrestlers that are way, way worse than him, man. If I
Not
was going to
even
pick the worst wrestler in the world, John Moxley wouldn't even be on the list.
he's not even the worst wrestler in his own faction.
No.
Forget the world.
Yeah. It's crazy. But, it shows that people are very individual in their taste,
Now I have to ask, who do you think the best wrestler in the world is right now?
Boy, it would be hard to pick.
Would you like to know my pick?
Yeah. Would it be
Brian
Kenny
Danielson.
Omega?
I think it's
Brian
Brian.
Danielson.
I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's close.
I
don't think it's close. I think it's Brian and then everyone else.
Yeah, I would say. And then Gunther would be probably best in the WWE.
Roman.
Roman Reigns. Yep.
I think the storytelling thing with Roman just kind of bumps him up.
Anyway, that wasn't a very long match anyway.
No, neither was Chris Statlander versus Emi Sakura.
Yeah.
Why this match was here, I don't know.
Right. I love Roderick Strong's new gimmick.
What, with the neck brace?
Yes, I think this I've enjoyed him a lot in this role.
I mean, he's just really good.
And it's and he's got what's his name, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Yeah.
Once in a while, Mrs. Bennett shows up.
You like that part, don't you, Russ?
Yeah, she's all right for a skinny gal.
Well, the thing I like and what I wish Tony would do, and he'll never fucking do this, by the way, because he's a fucking moron. Um, by the way, I really like AEW. I think you do too. But Tony Khan's a fucking idiot.
Sometimes, yeah.
Maria Kanellis, Maria Bennett, Maria, whatever the hell, Maria, whatever you want to
Right.
call her, was the head booker for the women's division in Ring of Honor before the pandemic.
I remember that now. I'd forgotten that.
She did a very good job booking that women's division.
Maybe they should ask for her to help book the women's division in AEW.
I think they should just let her book the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, Maria, listen, I'm going to give you a literal dump truck full of money because I'm Tony Khan and I have that.
Right.
And you're going to book the women's division.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
And then she'll say something to the effect of, how much money are we talking, Tony? And he'll say, well, how much do you want? But that would require Tony admitting that he doesn't know what he's doing, which he won't do. So,
Yeah. He doesn't seem to be much
too
on
keen
asking
on
for
that
help.
idea.
Yeah.
And then we got a very entertaining match between the Sex Gods and Aussie Open.
Right. Now, I think Aussie Open's a good team. They're really growing on me. They were defeated by Jericho and Guevara, and they're not getting along. They're
By
being
the
real
way,
pissy. They're being pissy with each other now.
before this, because I keep forgetting to mention the backstage segments, we did get a Roderick Strong thing backstage.
Yes. Good promo.
He cuts a good promo.
Right.
And he's going to win the tournament, he says.
Right.
And he very well might. I would probably, him or Joe would probably be the two logical options. I think Joe, when we'll get to why. Anyway, these two have a very good match. These two teams have a very good match. And damn it, Aussie Open needs to start winning on television.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're pretty good.
We had Renee backstage with Konosuke and Don.
Good old Don Callis. Yeah.
And he says he's going to unveil his new target next week.
Yeah. Wait.
Would we like to place bets on who that's going to be? Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Think so?
I think MJF will go to Grand Slam with probably Joe or Roddy, one of the 2
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll feud with Konosuke.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they don't have Takesh to beat Omega on pay-per-view 2 weeks in a row unless they're going to really strap a rocket to the kid's ass. And then we get perhaps the greatest promo segment of the week.
Here we get MJF and Samoa Joe. It's great.
This was fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. Yeah, this was two guys that could really talk.
People forget how good Samoa Joe is on the mic, by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
because he used to suck,
Right.
but he definitely doesn't now. We did get MJF singing New York a little bit.
Yes.
This guy's still singing show tunes.
He's pretty good at it too.
A lot of WWE mentions.
He took a low blow and a slam, but Adam Cole ran in to save him. But MJF was selling the damage.
We also got a lot of WWE mentions here. They mentioned WWE by name, which I thought was just weird.
Yeah, and they mentioned NXT.
They should not be doing that, by the way.
No, I think that's a really bad idea.
Don't do, WWE can get away with it because
Right.
they're triple your size. I mean,
You don't want people thinking about WWE when you're at an AEW show.
or vice versa.
Right. But
Anyway,
with this, I am interested in this tournament. Grand Slam World Title Eliminator Tournament.
yeah, Grand Slam is next week.
Yeah, this is the quarterfinal match we saw here. Roderick Strong versus Trent Beretta, who are the best friends. I think Trent's far and away the better wrestler.
Oh yeah.
And this was a pretty good match. And I wasn't surprised that Roderick Strong defeated him.
No, absolutely not. Um, After this, we get Tony motherfucking Storm.
Yeah, that's right. Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
That was the first thing I was gonna fucking say.
Right. I know. Chin up, tits out, watch out for the shoe. Her promos were great. So entertaining.
Oh my
And
god.
apparently she's just mentally distraught since what's happened with the
Is she the fucking
upcast.
best or what?
Yeah. She is very, very good.
What's what's better, that line or fat ass and a bad attitude?
Right, right.
I
That's
think
right.
between Anna Jay's fat ass and a bad attitude, what was that, 3 months ago? And now
Yeah.
this, dude, two instant classic fucking female
Right.
promos.
Chin
Um,
up, tits out, and watch out for the shoe. Reminded me of that guy throwing the shoes at President Bush back in the day.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
The Iranian guy threw a shoe at him.
Uh, then we get Tony, poor fucking Tony Schiavone.
Poor Tony, got to talk to Hangman. Oh yeah, and then here we get here. Yes, right. And he didn't get to talk very long, and he gets interrupted by
You know
Prince
what's
Don.
funny about this?
First
You were the
what's
one
that?
that said Hangman should feud with Swerve. What was that, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's
And now
right.
he's feuding with fucking Swerve.
Yep, yes.
You just said they should have Hangman feud with Swerve. I think that would be pretty cool. And
Right.
then, like 2 weeks later, Tony's like, "Hey, Russ has a pretty." Tony's
That's right.
freaking.
Hey, I should. You suppose I'll get a little check in the mail for? I doubt it.
No, no. Here's what happened. Okay, here's what I like to think happened. Tony was on a freaking Adderall bender. Okay, at
Right.
like 3 in the morning, just
He
going through
accidentally found
YouTube,
our show.
and he found our show, and he's like, "God damn, this shit sucks." And then
Yeah.
he heard you say one line, which is
Mhm.
Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page. And
Right.
he's like, that old bastard's a genius.
Right. But Swerve points out, he says, "Hey, when this company started, you were like a top guy. What happened to you, Adam Page? What's up with this cowboy shit?" And he says that he'll walk Page like a dog. And yeah, it'll be an interesting feud. Oh, yeah. And then Brian Cage comes in and attacks Page,
Oh, yeah, that happened too.
which I don't know. I'm not a huge Brian Cage fan. What can you say about Brian Cage?
He's fine.
All right.
Then we got the main event, Nick Wayne and Darby Allin. This was very good. This was part of the Eliminator tournament.
Yes, it was.
This was a very good match. And Darby won. No surprise.
Right. He
Well,
won by referee stoppage,
yeah,
which you don't see that often. Well, actually, you see it more than you used to.
I think it's good that they're doing it more because it adds some realism.
I do too. I think it's a lot better, and it just makes it feel a little bit more like boxing. Gives it a little bit more of a feel of legitimacy.
Yeah. Well, Russ, why don't you take a minute to talk about Uncle Russ's comic talk right here on Lockdown?
Uncle Russ's Comic Talk has been on hiatus for a couple of weeks. We will be starting again with a new season later this week. Starting off with a program about the history of the Defenders in the Marvel Comics universe. We're doing a little bit of revamping in how we're doing the show, but it will be back real soon. Watch for it on Lot 22.
Well, I want to point out I had more issues watching this week's SmackDown than I can ever recall.
You mean technical issues or issues with
Yes,
the content?
technical issues.
Yes, I
So,
had some too.
so I wasn't home for like the first 2 minutes of SmackDown. No big deal.
Yeah.
They barely started the show by that point.
Started off with a women's tag team match.
And this was fine. Anyway, what I basically had was I saw the first chunk of the show and like the last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like only saw sporadically through the middle. And they didn't put this thing up on Hulu until this morning.
Oh, okay.
Or
Well,
if they had it up,
you
or
didn't
if
miss a whole lot.
or if they had no, I watched YouTube clips. I'm good. I know what happened, but
Yeah.
like if they had it up before on Hulu, I didn't see it. It may very well have been there, but it wasn't showing up on my Hulu feed. So it's just like, what am I supposed to do? And of course, my DVR didn't record it because my DVR is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yes, and we've
Shotzi
got
and Charlotte against Damage Control. For some reason, they pinned freaking Damage Control here.
they defeated Damage Control. Yes, they did. And let's see. Shotzi Blackheart and Charlotte Flair versus Io Sky and Bailey. Then Asuka, after the bunch, Asuka came out too. She distracted Shotzi. Asuka and Sky had a face-to-face showdown right after the match. And then we go into my least favorite portion of the program.
What's that?
Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, and L.A. Knight.
Well, before that, we had a Paul Heyman thing.
Oh, I missed that. Tell me about that.
Well, we have confirmation now Jimmy's back in the bloodline.
Right. Paul said, if you're not against it, you're with us, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was total mafia movie stuff. Anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
Then we go backstage to Bailey yelling and screaming and being a total psychopath, which she's so good at. And then Io basically says she's going to fight Asuka for the title.
Yeah. That'll be a good match, too.
And then we had a whole schmaz. LA Knight cuts a good promo.
Right. Grayson Waller interrupts him.
Waller interrupts him. This all leads into a match between Austin Theory and LA Knight. Austin Theory loses again.
Right.
Which makes me think that they are finally pulling the plug on the Austin Theory push.
Yeah. I think so.
They absolutely should be.
Well, I tell you what, those three guys, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, LA Knight, they're all similar enough that they really just need one of those guys to kind of take that spot. You know what I mean?
Well, Knight and Waller are the two most talented of the three.
Yeah.
I mean, if one's going to be a babyface, if you can only have two of them, you're taking Knight and Waller.
Yeah.
And the other one should go to Raw. Knight should be on Raw. Waller should be on SmackDown, or vice versa. I don't really care. And then just throw Austin Theory into the Long Island Sound. Right. I mean, put him in the Mississippi, put him in the Long Island Sound.
But we did get Grayson Waller on guest commentary during this match, and it was just non-stop smack talk. He was pretty good at it. He was funny.
Grayson Waller is quite comedic.
Yes.
And then we get a AJ Styles interview, and this is all hinting at pretty much AJ Styles probably being the next one to fight Roman Reigns. Man, give me all of that.
Yeah. I tell you what, they've been sitting on AJ for a while, and I'm glad to see him starting to get a push for something.
Well, he was hurt for a long time.
Correct. Oh, that's right. He was.
And he was on Raw. So, like, there was really not much he was going to do. Now he's on SmackDown. Seems like they're pulling him away from the Good Brothers, which they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
But then we get a Damian Priest Judgment Day promo that leads into Judgment Day versus Brawling Brutes. This was a good match, but the Judgment Day win pretty much expectedly.
Correct. And then I don't think that people have figured out lately. I don't think they quite get it yet that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are supposed to be heels, but they're still getting a lot of cheers. I guess they haven't been down and dirty enough yet to convince people that they're heels. But it hasn't felt like a radical change. It's been a little bit more subtle.
I really like what they're doing with those three, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
Lashley is so good on the mic.
Boy, yeah. And, compared, you remember how unsure of himself he sounded as a rookie, when he first started talking. He's really learned to talk. And
well, I'll tell you why he learned to talk. Because he left and he went back to TNA, or he went to TNA again. Because remember, he had 2 TNA runs after he left. Because he left, went to TNA the first time, left TNA, didn't come back to WWE. I think he did like MMA or something.
Yeah.
Went back to TNA again, and that second time was when they put him with MVP.
Right.
Because remember, him and MVP were not an original WWE thing. That was something that they had done in TNA. And the reason they did it is because those two were very good friends as a result of being together in TNA forever.
Oh, yeah.
But, and I do want to talk about TNA at the end of this show, by the way, because I have some interesting TNA notes, historical stuff mainly.
But then this led into our main event here with AJ versus Jimmy, right? When they're right about here when
Yep. And AJ got a win in the main event of SmackDown. Good for AJ.
Right. It's been a while since we've seen him win on.
And it seems like we're going to be getting some sort of feud with some combination of the Judgment Day, the Bloodline, the OC, and the Lashley Profits. Give me all of it.
Yeah.
Just let these guys hit the shit out of each other.
Right. Yeah. The last thing we saw was Solo giving the spike to Styles.
AJ.
Yep.
Which pretty much tells you that that's Roman's next target.
Yep. Yes, definitely agree. So it wasn't too bad a show. The best thing about SmackDown as compared to Raw is that it's 2 hours, right?
I still don't like Kevin Patrick on commentary. Anyway.
He's the British filler.
Yeah, well, Russ, before we talk about Collision, let's talk about NFL. That came back this past week.
Yes, it did.
Really good show with Damon and crew talking about the NFL. Go check it out every Wednesday right here on Lock 22. Speaking of things to check out, let's talk about this Collision show. That I don't want to spend too much time on, because I don't think they spent too much time planning this out.
I was very pleased by one thing that I predict you were not too happy about.
What?
That is, I was pleased with the return of Jade Cargill.
Actually, You know what? Let's start there. I know
Okay,
we usually go in order or whatever, but
right.
fuck it. Let's start there. They executed this Jade return flawlessly.
It was very well done, wasn't it?
They leaked bad information to the dirt sheet saying, we don't think she's coming back. She's probably, and it was all bullshit. And I thought it probably was.
Right.
I didn't think she'd be back this soon, but dude, if you
Well,
really thought,
I know one of the people that helped train her to get better was Punk. So if she wants to keep working on improving the training, she's going to have to find somebody else.
well, her and Moxley are buddy buddy too.
Yeah. Well, her wrestling has improved. I mean, she was green as hell when they put that title on her. It was very clear it was for the looks only. But she has gotten a lot better. I enjoy her. I think she's got a unique presence
And
in
now
the,
the
the
fact
locker
that they
room.
don't have an unbeaten streak to worry about with her is going to help the booking be a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But this collision show started with John Moxley versus Action Andretti. This
Correct.
match was very good.
I was surprised. Moxley again opening the show as he did on Wednesday night and defeating his opponent clean in the middle of the ring. You notice he's a heel, but most of the time he gets clean pinfalls or submission.
Well, that's just how AEW books their shit. I mean,
That's right, because they may be heels, but they don't have to cheat because they're good enough.
well, anyway, we get a whole bunch of pre-taped stuff with Roderick Strong talking about Adam Cole.
Great talker. I'm
So
enjoying
good.
I'm enjoying this new gimmick where he takes the neck brace off before the match and puts it on afterward. It's it's audacious. Let's put it that way.
It's ridiculous.
Yes,
Then we
it is.
got then we got the
Chris.
Robin Renegade, the Renegades, one half of the Renegades wrestling Chris Statlander.
Yeah, that Robin Renegade, she looked familiar, but it looked like somebody I hadn't seen in quite a while.
Well, because she used to be one of Jade's.
Oh, she was one of Jade's flunkies.
Yeah.
Right. Her crew of bitches or whatever.
And
Used to have a bunch of bad bitches.
Jade came back and kicked the shit out of them.
Yeah, I hope she goes without the entourage now and stands alone. That'd be big improvement.
Well, she's still got Smart Mark, but that's it.
That's all right. I could put up with Spark Mark Sterling. Although like I said before, he stole his name from Mark Sterling from Kansas City, formerly known as the fittest wrestler on the planet.
Leave it to Russ to stick in an indie or a territory reference.
Right. Yeah, Mark Sterling, he was awesome. He was the best heel they ever had wrestle in Des Moines. Anyway,
Well, we then got Renee backstage with Soraya and Ruby Soho.
that's right. Ruby's upset. She's always in a bad mood. She's always
Ruby was pissed. Soraya was pissed. Why Soraya's mad? I don't know. She's the freaking champion.
he's the champion. She should be on top of the world. Right. But
Anyway,
anyway, it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with Tony. She's obviously the one that should be turning babyface.
I think they're going to do it the other way around. I think Soraya and Rube are going to go babyface, but
Yeah.
then we had Shivani backstage with Claudio and Eddie, and we're finally getting this fucking match.
Right.
Finally.
And they've been hyping this for so long, you don't know how much of it is based on real life and how much of it is just using it to make a good rivalry.
Looking at you, Elite. Anyway,
Eddie and Claudio, yeah.
Well, this was a very good back and forth
Oh
promo.
yeah,
So
and then the upshot of it, they said there'll be a match between the two of them for Kingston's New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong
it's
Open
for
Weight
both the belts.
Championship, right?
It's title for title.
Yeah, we've got a New Japan belt and a Ring of Honor belt being contested at an AEW card. Interesting.
What the clusterfuck are we doing here?
That's like, yeah,
This fucking company just what the fuck?
yeah,
Also, wait a second. How are they gonna fucking book this? Because Claudio doesn't work New Japan.
I well, I don't know. They're just
So
kind of all
Eddie
over
has to
together.
win because Claudio doesn't fucking work New Japan.
That's right, unless he wants to go do it. But apparently, that's where Eddie was for a few months in Japan.
Who knows what they're gonna do, but
Right.
just fucking this show. Anyway, Jay
Well,
White was not at the show due to personal reasons, so we got a 6-man tag.
right, juicing the guns against three guys that I don't remember ever hearing of. So I wrote their names down. I got Aerostar in from
And from Undo.
Mundo and Gravity. Oh, Gravity I've seen.
This was a fine match.
Yeah. Yes, it was all right. But yeah, I think that the guns I'm liking them a lot better, since they've been with the Bullet Club Gold. They've just improved in general.
It gives them a purpose. Anyway, Bullet Club Gold win, which shouldn't be a surprise. They're clearly putting these guys
Right.
over strong. And then we get the best fucking CJ Perry promo.
Yeah. Now, where does this? How long has she been using that name? That was new to me.
That's her real name,
That's her real name. I remember when she was
Lana.
Lana, the Russian. I wonder why they're bringing her in now. It's because it's been a couple of years, since we've seen her.
Because she was with WWE for a while,
Mhm.
and then she had a non-compete,
Right,
and then she didn't want to go anywhere,
right,
and now
and now she
she's
does.
here.
Okay, got it. We'll see what they'll do with her. She is she is very flexible. I'll give her that.
She is
I've seen her flex before. By golly, she can.
she is
She's
double jointed.
she's a contortionist.
She's double jointed. Did you know that?
That's right.
According to Miro.
That's right, because that's what he was all about. I'm all about serving my God and my hot double jointed wife. I thought that sounds like a hell of an interesting relation to me.
Well, she mentioned being the hottest manager in wrestling at one point, and she certainly
Right.
was that. She was over as
Good looking.
hell. She was over as hell for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's got memory glands and the whole bit. Right?
Well, anyway, it certainly seems like they're going to be putting her and Miro together, but they may do another Miro cuck angle.
It could be. Yeah, that's right.
And God damn it, if they do that again, we're going to start reviewing.
I just like seeing Miro wrestle.
Yeah, me
He
too.
seems like an interesting guy too. I remember when they were doing the years ago when WWE did their programs where they'd follow these people around in their private lives.
Uh huh.
You got to see a little bit of his family life and his country where he came from. It was very, very interesting.
Well, then we got a Dark Order commercial.
Yeah.
It
Man,
certainly seems like we are reverting back to join the Dark Order.
yeah, I know. That's like 3, 4 years ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back in 2019.
Right. But
Welcome.
we get a little segment with the Acclaim there.
Yeah, we got the acclaimed segment.
Oh, and then we got to see someone I haven't seen in a long time.
Who's that?
And I'm not talking about Ray Phoenix. I'm talking about Angelico.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was employed.
You know, I think he's not bad. He's really pretty good. Can you remind me the name of his tag team partner?
Serpentico?
Serpentico. And what did they call themselves?
I know.
They had some weird name, but they had the most interesting. I won't say it was good or bad. I'd say interesting ring entrance.
Are you talking about when they had Luther
Yeah,
and Luther would fucking chuck Serpentico into the ring?
they were just doing all kinds of. They were acting like they were just tripping out on drugs or something, closing their eyes and waving their hands around.
The
I don't
weirdest
know what they
shit.
were on, but I wouldn't mind trying some of it.
Just the weirdest shit you've ever seen.
Yeah, Serpentico and Angelico. Ray the Phoenix defeated him.
Well, this match was fun.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
thought.
we had Tony backstage with FTR. And
Need new challengers.
they announced the FTR World Tag Team Title Challenge, and that's where we're going from here.
All right, well, that's the Savage Hairy guys. The Hairy Savages or whatever they're called.
The Bears.
Yeah, Bear Country. I forget what they're called now.
Whatever.
Let's call them the Hairy Savages.
Yeah, those two. Then we had Roderick Strong with
Another match in our tournament.
Bennett and Taven against Darby, who had Nick Wayne and AR Fox in his corner.
And it didn't help him one bit.
And Roderick Strong beat Darby Allin. This match was fantastic.
Yes. Roderick Strong is. I mean, I love Brian Danielson a lot. I love the other guys, but I'm really excited about Roderick Strong on Saturday night.
Man, the fact that okay, the brand split is ending. All right, let's get that out of the way. The brand split, the whole reason for the brand split is over. CM Punk is gone. And you know what? Good riddance.
Yeah. It's going to be for the best in the long run. It really is. They just need to get back on track. It's kind of like they got to start the raid game all over again in a way.
Well, I want to fast forward a little bit here because we had this Brian Danielson segment. There was other stuff, but it's pretty insignificant for the most part. We had this
very interesting promo.
Brian comes out and he starts talking, and he doesn't go right into cutting a promo because he starts by talking about his career. And he says, well, promised my daughter I would retire when she was 7 or start winding down when she turned 7.
Right.
She's 6 now. For some reason, I thought his daughter was a lot younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you.
Oh.
So he basically goes on to say that he's not going to go quietly into the night, and come hell or high water, he's going to be here and blah blah blah.
Once we get another year of him, and then I think he will call it quits. I think he means it.
I think he'll be a part-timer for a year after that.
I don't think he's going to be wrestling when he's 75 years old like Terry Funk,
No, but here's the thing. I think if he never got married, he probably would.
Yeah.
If he never had kids, he probably would. But here's the thing. This guy's got what, 2 or 3 kids?
Yeah.
He doesn't. I mean, he's outright said it. He doesn't need the money. I mean, he's set for life, That last WWE deal was crazy money.
They also mentioned the possibility of Danielson offering Ricky Starks a spot in the Blackpool Combat Club.
We also get mentioned that we're finally getting Zack Sabre Jr. versus Brian Danielson.
Right.
Thank fuck we're getting this.
Zack Sabre Jr. I haven't seen on TV in
He's been on Ring of Honor.
Has he been on the AEW before? Ring
He
of Honor.
has. He has been
So
on
that's
eight. He was on the first Forbidden Door show. This match was supposed to happen last year at Forbidden Door, and that's when Danielson got hurt the first time.
okay.
Because
Now that I'm starting to remember what you're talking about.
because remember that first Forbidden Door show was fucking cursed because Punk had just gotten hurt the first time. Um,
Right.
Omega was gone already because Omega had all those injuries and then dropped the title and then went away for like a year.
Right.
And Danielson got hurt and Adam Cole got hurt right before that show too. Because that's when Adam Cole, no, wait, that was the show where Adam Cole got the concussion that put him out for a year. It happened on that show. So this
Right.
show was fucked. But
I hear you. Yeah, well, Zack Sabre Jr., we don't know when that's coming up, though. They didn't offer a date, did they?
Wrestle Dream, they did.
Oh, that's right. Russell Dream. Thank you. I missed that.
But I take it we're going to get another Starks Danielson match probably at Full Gear. And we're also going to be getting Moxley versus Big Bill on Dynamite.
Right. Yeah, we're supposed to get Big Bill against Moxley. Then Phoenix wants a match too.
Yeah.
But then we get to our next match in our Grand Slam World Title Eliminator Tournament semifinal.
This was the lesser of the two tournament matches, but it was still very good.
Yeah. It went the way I expected it to.
Joe
Joe defeated, although this fella, I'm getting to know him a little bit, Penta El Zero Miedo, for the luchador style, he's a pretty good wrestler. He's been around for a while, hadn't he?
Yeah, he was in AAA for a while.
So then that means we're going to get Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin.
No, Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah, Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong. That's right. That's what I meant. And the winner of that then will face
MJF, and I would presume it's going to be Joe. I would presume that's where they're going, but
I would too. Yeah, because they've already started teasing that feud.
But they've also teased Roderick and Max, so who knows? It could be one now and one at the pay-per-view.
That's right.
But
I like both matches.
But let's talk a little bit about Impact. We don't talk about Impact very much.
Yeah, what's the Impact news?
We are coming up on the 1000th episode of Impact.
That is correct.
That show has had 1,000. How the fuck did that company get to 1,000 episodes?
They have been so close to bankruptcy so many times. It's amazing. They're the company that just refuses to die.
I have been popping in on Impact I pop in on Impact once every month or two.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a good show. Like, Impact has a solid roster and a solid bunch of talent. They just don't have the television. That's the thing.
That's right. They don't have the production values. They don't have.
They do now. Their production value is a lot better.
Well, I know it's better than it used to be.
But like, they've got a good show. And Tom Hannafin, Tom Phillips, whatever you want to call him.
They have some good talent, but they also are notorious for having some incredibly stupid storylines.
Yeah, in the Vince Russo era, most certainly. By the way, I'm not here to shit on Vince Russo. I happen to think Vince Russo's a very nice guy.
Yeah, I got nothing against him,
I've had several encounters with Vince Russo, and they've all been very pleasant. He's always been very nice to me. And
yeah.
I will not be the one to come out here and shit all over Vince Russo, because I don't judge you based on your line of work. I judge you based on if I've met you. And if I've met you and you've been a decent human being to me, I'm probably not going to have a problem with you. I've met Vince Russo. I like Vince Russo. He was always very nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
always very respectful. Came on this show in its original iteration. Again, I've never had a really negative experience with Vince Russo. I know people who have.
Some of the stuff he gets knocked for, I got to admit, when I originally saw it, I liked it. I liked some of the things he did on Nitro. They weren't all great, but they weren't all
Were they
horrible
goofy
either.
and hokey? Yeah, but what isn't in wrestling?
I even enjoyed the goofy stuff like the artist formerly known as Prince Iukea.
I don't know. But I didn't think everything he did in TNA was all bad.
No.
Let's not forget he was booking TNA during its heyday.
Right.
In
And
07, 08, 09, when they were on top of the world.
some genius at TNA thought they had Vince Russo working there. And some genius thought, hey, what would be a really good idea? Let's bring in Jim Cornette to work with him.
That was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, and Dutch Mantel's gone on the record as saying that, boy, he knew that wasn't going to work because he could get along with both of them. But he said he kind of made it. His job was to try to keep them apart. I thought that's sad when you got to actually do that.
I have never met Dutch.
No, I like his.
But
I like his podcast.
I like his podcast. I really like James Romero, his host. I think he's really talented.
He's one of the best.
I think James Romero is really talented.
Yeah.
I think that he would serve himself well watching the current product a little more. I understand why he doesn't, but
yeah,
he doesn't. He did go to All In though, Dutch's host, but I don't know.
Well, 1,000 episodes of Impact. I didn't think they'd ever get there. Now you're talking about 1,000 episodes since they officially changed the name to Impact. Correct. Before that, there was the TNA era.
It was just TNA, but that's when they were on pay-per-view.
Right. And that was the same company early era. And they had some pretty bad stuff their first couple of years. The Johnsons.
I think TNA really got good after Christian got there.
He helped it a lot. He really did.
I think Christian going to TNA was kind of the point where you could say, okay, they're legit now.
Well, also, I think their X division to me, it was kind of a continuity from the old cruiserweight division in WCW, where they kind of made it a special thing unto itself, more so than WWE ever did, because the emphasis in WWE has always been on heavyweights. But I enjoyed X division a lot. There's a lot of great matches. There's a program, if there is thousands of hours of TNA programming currently available at any time. They've got their own channel on Pluto, which is just 24/7 Impact programming from throughout the years. And that Impact is 60 is just like 60-minute little anthologies. Like they'll do one show on the X division, one show on the great matches of AJ Styles. They do a lot of those with stars that they don't have anymore.
And a lot of them are really well put together.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. People forget that TNA had a lot of who WWE and AEW now promote as their top guys.
Yep.
Samoa Joe, TNA.
Yes.
AJ Styles, TNA. Drew McIntyre was in TNA.
Eli Drake.
Cody Rhodes.
Right. Booker T.
I think some of Booker's best stuff was in fucking TNA. Kurt Angle
was there.
Kurt Angle was in TNA longer than he was in WWE.
That's right. He had a really good run. Sting
was just awesome in TNA.
I got a kick out of his so-called Joker Sting.
Scott Steiner. I think Scott Steiner's best run of his career was in TNA.
Great promos.
Now the TNA tapings.
The Deadlies were there for quite a while too.
Now the TNA tapings back then looked like absolute shit. They were lit like garbage, but
right.
Man, if you go
It might
back
have
and
been
watch,
lit bad, but not as bad as early Ring of Honor.
but if you go back and watch TNA like 06, 07, 08, it still holds up. I mean, it's
Yeah,
still good television.
yeah.
I think the dagger in their back was when Christian left and there was nobody to fill that void. On paper, there was, but they didn't book anybody to fill that void. You know what I mean? They
Mm-hmm.
had the talent to fill that void. They just really didn't. And then they brought Hogan in like a year later.
And as soon as they did that, I thought, oh man, this is not going to go well.
The second fucking Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan got there, it was just like, oh my God.
It was like a totally different world, wasn't it?
Well, they got rid of
And
the six-sided ring, and say what you want about the fucking six-sided ring, but it made him unique.
yep. And I just knew we were going to get more of the same old shit. And I've never been what you call a Hulk Hogan hater,
Oh,
but
I am.
I
I
don't hate the guy. But I just think,
I think he's a racist human piece of garbage.
oh yeah, he might be. That's possible. Um, I just knew that was a bad turn of events. Uh, I remember a good friend of mine I was always watching wrestling with. Back at that time, I had heard the news online. I said, "Guess what, man?" He said, "What?" He said, "Yes, they're going to bring somebody into TNA somebody that the last person you would expect to come into TNA, somebody you don't like." And he says, "No, don't tell me." I said, "Yep." He says, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Yeah, Hulk fucking Hogan." He said, "Oh my God, they're going to ruin Impact. They're going to ruin it." And they just about killed it off. They really did.
I
Some of the worst wrestling programming ever was the Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff era of Impact.
and I don't think, by the way, I don't think that was all Eric's fault. I
Oh
think
no,
Eric gets
there's
too
lots of
much
people.
shit for that.
There's other people there too. How about Jeff Jarrett? How about Dixie Carter?
Well, Dixie's part of the problem.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. But, did I agree with Eric's decision to hire his son? No. Garrett Bischoff couldn't wrestle worth a lick.
That was nepotism in action.
Now, one thing I will say about Garrett Bischoff is by all accounts, Garrett Bischoff is the nicest fucking guy you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Eric. Only thing I've ever heard about Garrett, Eric, or the whole Bischoff family, really, doesn't matter who you're talking about. Just the nicest bunch of people. But damn it, if they didn't book some bad TV.
Yeah, afraid so. But I
Well,
do take a peek at Impact now and then, and I will look for that show, that 1000th anniversary show.
let
And
me
I
search.
occasionally take a peek at New Japan.
When is it? Impact 1000 air date? When is that? Uh, that's this week, September 14th, their 1000th episode.
That will be this Thursday night.
Yep, Bully Ray and Devon are going to be there.
That's right. They have re-signed with Impact, from what I understand.
A lot of like the Impact OGs are going back now because Anthem is actually like starting to dump money into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Anthem's like, well, we sold Fight TV, we got the fucking money.
Yeah.
We can just pour money into fucking Impact. And Impact's back on the road now too. They're shooting in Chicago and Atlanta, and they were back in Nashville at the fairgrounds for a
Mm-hmm.
while. They
The
were
only
back in
time
like
they used to come to Northern Iowa. I never got to a show, but up in Northern Iowa, a little town called Spencer,
they did really well in the Midwest, like
they did very
Iowa,
well back then.
Minnesota. They did really well in Fargo. They would sell out Fargo pretty consistently. I really do think that if there's ever going to be a number 3, It's going to be Impact getting television and Anthem pouring money into it.
If they could get a good TV deal.
No, what it's going to take is them getting a new TV deal on a better network and then Anthem just dumping money into the product.
Right.
Because Anthem has the money.
Well, they should invest some, in my opinion.
Because here's the thing. All right. I don't know that there will ever be a number 3. I don't know that there's room, talent-wise. But if there's going to be a number 3, it's going to be Impact. It's not going to be the NWA. Billy Corgan doesn't have that kind of money.
Right.
Anthem has that kind of money. If Anthem wanted to make Impact the number 3, they're not going to be the number 2. They're not going to catch AEW. It's not going to happen. Nobody expects them to catch AEW.
No.
But they could catch NXT if they were on a better network.
Yeah.
You know, and I've said for a long time, and I said this even back in right as their Spike deal was ending. I said they should go to ESPN. Go to ESPN 2. Even if you're on ESPN, let's say you're on ESPN 2 at 9:00 at night. That's still better than a primetime spot on Spike.
They haven't had pro wrestling on ESPN since the days of AWA, way back, decades ago.
During the pandemic, they were showing old WrestleManias, like WrestleMania.
Oh, were they?
30.
I didn't know that.
They put WrestleMania 30 on there during the pandemic. And they showed recent WrestleManias during the pandemic because there was nothing on. This was when sports shut down and all that. But I really do think that if they would go to, if they could get an ESPN 2 at 10:00 at night, and no, that's not a good time slot, but ESPN 2 at 10:00 at night is a hell of a lot better than Access TV.
Oh, yeah. You're right about that.
Or go to the Roku channel, even. Go to one of these streamers. Go to Pluto. You know, you've already got to deal with Pluto. You might as well just put your live shit on there.
Yeah. Can I bring up another news item?
Yes, sir.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan underwent emergency surgery.
Yeah, sounds like he's doing better.
Yesterday morning, yes. He seems to be doing real well. He had a picture online where he's in his hospital bed, he's smiling, giving the thumbs up. But he's dealt with prostate cancer and all kinds of problems off and on over the years. So I'm glad he's doing well. I wasn't wanting us to have another legend pass away after the last few weeks we've had, Yeah. Exactly. So if you're inclined to send some positive thoughts and prayers or whatever you're into toward Hacksaw Jim and his family. I had an opportunity to meet him one time. I was at a very small independent wrestling show in Des Moines a few years ago, my wife and I, and completely unannounced. And it was a total surprise. One of the guys says, I want to introduce one of the guys that helped train me. And he brought out Hacksaw Jim. So it was a nice surprise.
Talk about a guy who loves the business. I mean,
he did. And he was so gracious and so humble. He really was a very, very humble man.
That's a guy who
you can't help but like the guy.
That's a guy who loves the business.
Right.
I mean, and he lived the business for a long time. He was never a top guy. Never.
Yep.
He didn't really have the persona to be a top guy. He was kind of a goofy character, and he still is. I mean, but that's Hacksaw Jim. I mean, he is a goofy guy, even in real life. The guy's goofy.
Real life tough guy.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
But
it was tragic at the time. It was bad at the time, but it's funny. He tells the stories about when he was feuding with Iron Sheik back in the 80s. And then they get busted, they get pulled over together. and they had dope in the car. They got busted. And oh, Vince McMahon was mad.
That's somebody I've always wanted to have on the show. I don't
Iron
think it'll
Sheik,
ever happen.
Hacksaw Jim.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Um, I interviewed Nikita Breznikov a couple of years ago now. He was one of the first interviews I had
Huh?
in the original iteration of this show, and I talked to him, after the show ended, and he said, if you ever get a chance to talk to Hacksaw Jim, you absolutely should. And I said, I will remember that, and I
Yeah.
and I do. That's somebody I've always thought would be a good interview, but um, he hasn't been doing interviews or anything really public for the last couple of years. He'll do an indie spot here and there, but you know, I mean, he hasn't been in poor health. Obviously, this surgery was a bit of an emergency shocker thing, but good to hear he's doing well. And,
Yeah. Well, he's a tough guy.
one tough son of a bitch.
Right.
But
Yes.
we are back here next week. Worth noting that we are off in 2 weeks, but we are back here next week.
Yes.
I will be streaming again this week, twitch.tv/BenGames99. We have a whole bunch of fun over there. Come hang out with us. Me and a bunch of my stupid internet friends have a bunch of fun on the internet playing video games.
Yeah.
And if you like, and I say it every time when I talk about these streams, if you like my jokey, silly, weirdo side, watch my streams, because that's all it is. I'm not
Yep.
serious. I don't take myself seriously at all over there, though you could argue I don't take myself at all seriously here.
Nope. I like jokes too.
Well, I know, and you also like women, but what's your point?
You want to hear a good joke?
Oh boy,
Here we go. You know where they send bad rainbows, don't you?
where?
Bad rainbows get sent to Prism,
And on that fucking note,
but it's a light sentence, and
well,
they get a chance. They get a chance to reflect.
oh boy. Well, that's the end of Two Marks and a Spark. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for the last
All
9
right.
months.
See you next week.
Or never, depending on.
All right.
I'm of course kidding. We will see you next week, right back here
Take
on
care.
Block 22. Everybody have a good week. Damon, play my music. Bye-bye.